Today is July 17th. The Bucs get swept by the... Who cares? Quinn Priester, Endy Rodriguez, and Liover Peguero are here. It's Double Debut Monday. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Let's go. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I am joined, as always, by my brother Jake. What that?
Hey, man, what's going on?
You know, every once in a while, you have a series of 3 where you're saying, what are we going to talk about? And then the baseball gods, or maybe not even them, maybe just Ben Cherington, decides to promote 3 prospects to the major leagues.
It's wild, man. It's you know, we talk about these guys coming up and everything, and then when are they going to come up? When are they going to come up? And I know I kind of said Andy's going to be here after the also, but like Henry Davis, Nick Gonzalez, Triolo, Andy. I mean, this is the youth movement. We're getting there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what we said. There's going to be a lot of debuts this year. There's going to be a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of things. You're talking about Henry Davis, the number 2 prospect, Endy Rodriguez, the number 3, Quinn Priester, the number 4, Nick Gonzalez, the number 6, Liover Peguero, the number 7. I'm going down. Hang on. Jared Triolo, the number 16. I'm still going. Carmen Majinski, the number 23. We've also seen Kanan Smith-Njigba, the number 26. I said that as if I was going to say somebody else, but I'm not. But we have a possibility later this year, and I think it could possibly happen. But Jared Jones, the 21-year-old who's sitting in AAA right now, getting bumped up, and he's our number 10. Now, Mike Burrows is our number 9. We know he's on the shelf with an injury. Termarr Johnson's number 1. He's 19 years old.
He did just crush his 4th home run in his past 5 games today.
I mean, he's on fire right now.
Yes.
And you know what? During all of this, I expect to see him to Greensboro soon.
Yeah.
Anthony Solomito, the number 5, has already been moving. He's in AA. And then Bubba Chandler is in Greensboro right now. But you're talking about our top 10, and like 70% of them are going to graduate off this list.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Paul Skeens goes to the top, and maybe some other guys fall into that. I mean, you're going to start talking about some of these other guys as being top 10 prospects in the organization. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's ridiculous. Like, this is what we want to see. We want to see this get to this point. But here we are. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about, we'll start off talking about the series a little bit. But we really want to get into these guys and talk about the excitement of these guys coming up, and maybe a few things that it means. Who are they? All that kind of stuff, which most of you know who they are already. And then we'll look forward to the Guardians and maybe talk about, when we're talking about these guys too, maybe some corresponding moves that I don't believe have been announced yet. I don't believe they have been. But there's been some moves. So we'll go from there. Skeen's still not signed, by the way. So just to throw that out there. There's been 4 guys signed. So a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah.
We made a last minute call to head back home and visit the parents, and our uncle's in visiting, and so they were like, "Hey, what are the chances you could come in and see him?" And I said, "You know what? I mean, that'd be good. We haven't seen him, you know what I mean?" And so whenever Katie got home on Saturday. Well, I started texting her before, but whenever she got home, we got ready and left. Just like a last minute thing, just to say, let's go see him. He's in town from Tennessee and hang out. They had gone to the Pirate game on Friday, but Katie was like, well, if we do, what are the chances we go tonight? This was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if we do, we're going to stick around more on Sunday and get home a little later. And she's like, I think we can do that. So last minute decision, I bought the best tickets I've ever sat in at PNC Park. So I just on a whim, and I was like, well, we could get those seats for $80 a ticket, or we can spend like an extra $50 and just go and sit in the best seats we've ever sat in.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. That's what we did. It was just because it was just the two of us, right? We don't have to buy other tickets.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about getting 4 seats. Like, we get an opportunity to just, to not look at the weather and hit up a game where we sat 5 innings in the rain. But Oviedo was dealing.
Yeah. 10
strikeouts, 6 innings, 1 hit. And you know the story, we blew it. We only scored 1 run. You blow the whole thing up. Got to see a Henry Davis homer, first one at PNC Park.
Yeah.
So that was good, but all in all, it was good. I say this all the time. I know it is what it is, and I know it's very, the Pirates can't say this, but we can, right? We've criticized this the other way. I had a good time at the game. It was a decent ball game. It was a pitcher's duel, but it was a decent ball game. You kind of had a bonehead play at the end of the game. It ended up kind of not mattering. I wonder if the at-bats were different in the bottom of the 9th, if we actually don't give up that second run. Davis throws the ball home, and we don't get the out at home, so they take the lead.
Yeah.
But if we just don't give up that second run by throwing the ball to second, he throws the second, throws it in the dirt. I don't know. I don't know what Marcano's thinking, even trying for the tag. Just throw home. But he tries for the tag, I guess thinking, I guess if I'm going to get inside his head, maybe if I could just tag him out before the guy scores, then we're out of the inning anyway. But 2 outs with Bednar on the mound, like, just eat it. Let that guy go to second. Just eat it. We're going to probably strike the next guy out. I mean, chances are, you look at the statistics, the next guy's probably going to strike out.
Right.
So that was my only thing. And then, does it change? Do you get one run if the at-bats change a little bit?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Palacios is up there. Was it Palacios? No. Who am I thinking? I'm thinking of today's game, and you know what I mean? I'm thinking of the different games entirely. I can't remember, but like, do you get that run in if you only need to get 1 in instead of needing to get 2?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but Duvall's a beast as well.
He stinks.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. He's good, but like, when you want to say like, today he can stink though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bednar gave up an RBI base hit, let it inherited runners score. So can this guy. I mean, not inherited runners, but you can get to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, home crowd, hoist the colors. You know what I'm saying? Like, you only need 1 run. I just wonder if the at-bats change a little bit if you only need 1.
It could.
You had guys on, and then an inning-ending double play. Game ending. Right? Isn't that how it was? That was the night before. That was Friday night. Dude, I'm just all kinds of blurred right now. Anyway. It was a good game. Did not stick around for fireworks. For those of you adults who like fireworks, you'll have to explain it to me because I don't get it. That's it. We got out of there before the fireworks went off. I was happy about that. Not happy about getting swept, obviously.
Right.
Especially when you had back-to-back nights, Saturday and Sunday. So I guess night and then day, where if you just score the 4 runs that I always talk about, then you win both games. You lose 3-1, and then you lose
8-4.
whatever, but like you scored 4, but not till the 10th.
Right.
If you had 4 at the end of the 9th, the game would have been over.
Yep.
4 runs. So the offense is not getting it done right now.
No, we're not getting it done like in big spots with multiple runners on base. Like I can't. So many times we've had bases loaded, we just get maybe 1 run.
Right.
They're getting out of it with no runs.
Yeah, you got to be able to capitalize on those situations over and over again. We can say this, and it's the offense is struggling.
I will say that we could have laid down. We gave up 5 in the 10th inning. We could have laid down. We ended up with the tying run on deck. Henry Davis, that little base knock that scored catch, but
yeah, which goes to show the same sort of thing. Really should have only given up 1 run.
Yeah,
and it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It just gets messy, and to me, it's not about giving up the 8 eventually in the 10th inning. It's not about what happened there and what caused those extra runs to score Saturday, or that extra run to score on Saturday. That stuff is secondary to me when it comes to if the offense just scores. The entire game has changed. The pitching staff is doing well right now to give us a chance, at least the last 2 games. And somehow it happened on Sunday with Beto only going 2 2/3.
Yeah.
And turning it over to the bullpen and still holding them. So, what do you do when the offense is struggling? You call in reinforcements. They did this with Henry Davis, Nick Gonzalez. They were called up very shortly after one another to try to get something going, and it worked for a minute. But you're in a position now where you've got 2 catchers and neither one of them can hit. And say what you want. Well, Jason DeLay's a little bit better. He's actually not a little bit better than Austin Hedges. He's been a little bit worse than Austin Hedges lately. He hasn't hit good since April. Like, he literally hasn't hit. He's been under 200 in every other month of the year. He's not, like, he's just riding that early surge. And his average has stayed somewhat reasonable throughout that process. But he's not a good hitter. He hasn't ever been. He had a good month.
Right.
I'm actually pulling it up as I'm ranting about it. 390 in April. And then he hit 214 in May, so I'll give that to you. I said he was under. He wasn't quite under 200. He hit 214. Ooh. Then he hit 120 in June, and he did get a hit in today's game, which put him up to 200 for his 10 games, or 10 at-bats, so far in July. Like, he's still not getting it done.
Right.
And just to check my argument here, in June, Austin Hedges hit 184. You're talking about 64 points better. And he's hitting 235 in July so far, so still better. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We complain about Hedges, and really, we know who Hedges is. Jason DeLay, we think we know, but it's actually worse. And I don't say that to dog on any of these guys. Hitting is difficult. And both of them are plus defenders, and they do a very good job at what they do. And we have been told time and time again that the Pirates like that.
Right.
That they really do like both Hedges and DeLay. And calling up Endy Rodriguez is not contrary to that. They still like that.
Right.
They're just not they have to do something about this offense. They can, both things can exist at the same time. Yeah, we do like that. We also like hits. So we're going to call up Endy Rodriguez because we think he might get some.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So word on the street is, as we move into these call-ups. Endy Rodriguez is going to get the starting job moving forward. Yeah. Hedges will be the backup, and they are saying that Henry Davis will begin to catch games. So they're going to run with the three of them. Meaning Delay's the odd man out, who I believe has options.
Yeah.
I'm almost 100% sure of that.
It's the right call. Whether you want Hedges off this roster or not, the dude is still a mind that is going to be needed in Endy Rodriguez and Henry Davis's ear.
Mm-hmm.
That veteran, just like Santana and Koch has been for the infielders and the position players in general, the hitters. It's going to be important for them to be able to pick the brain of Austin Hedges.
Yeah, Jason Delay has all three options.
That's an easy call then.
It's an easy call. Always was. The question I have with this, before we talk about the individual players, let's talk about some of the moves. And I had it pulled up, but it seems like I've closed it, so I'll reopen it. Kutch was brought back from the injured list, and Rodolfo Castro was sent down. Mm-hmm. This was not really a surprise to me, and something that you and I talked about, saying he needs to get reps. He needs to hit every day and figure out his swing, because it's not there right now.
Right.
If he figures it out, then maybe he becomes a bench piece on this roster, and as we thought that he might going down the road. If he doesn't, then this is the story that's written, and we've said that before. Will Crow, rehab assignment to Indianapolis, and I think Zastryzny outrighted to the Indians. I don't know that we said that or anything, or if it's even important to say. But either way, we know that Castro's down, and that's important right now because, so first off, Peguero and Endy are on the 40-man roster, so there's no 40-man move that needs to be made. But there is an active roster moves that need to be made. So we've already covered Delay. For Endy, that seems like the easy call. The next call is not so easy. You've got Choi back, you've got Kutch back, and when you look at that infield, you've got Triolo at third, because Key's still hurt. You've got Santana / Choi / Connor Joe at first, obviously. You've got Tucupita at short currently, and Nick Gonzalez at second. And then you've got nobody. They're going to play every day right now because we have nobody. So either Peguero's coming up to be that second, short, third, like the guy who can help out now that you've sent Castro down, or Marcano, who a lot of people thought, well, Marcano's probably going down for Peguero. I don't think they can afford to do that. I think they've got to keep Marcano around for at-bats. And then maybe when Bay comes back, you got that Marcano, Castro, Bay question still lingering, who gets the bench spot. Mm-hmm. If Marcano's still struggling when Bay comes back, maybe they give him a shot. Maybe it doesn't matter, and maybe Castro starts hitting, and they switch him and Marcano at some point. Like, I don't know. But the point is like, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to move Tucupita down because they've got no one else. If one of those guys gets hurt, who's going to play any of those positions? I guess Endy could play second, and then you could figure everything out from there. Mm-hmm. Right? So if it's Triolo, you just put Nick Gonzalez at third, Endy at second. You also, I guess you could put Connor Joe in a pinch. You could put him at third base.
Yeah. But he's played a little bit of second, hasn't he?
Connor Joe? Not that I know of. I
think we had this conversation before and we looked it up. I think he did not.
Okay. So anyway, I think that you would just go Endy at second at that point, whether any of those three, and then Gonzalez just moves to whatever position, or if it's him. And then they make a move the next day, but that's not really ideal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is somewhat of the problem of running with three catchers, but the issue the situation that we're running into by carrying three catchers is Henry Davis is playing outfield.
Right.
which means we also have Connor Joe, Josh Palacios, Brian Reynolds, Jack Sawinski, and Henry Davis, really, as 5 outfielders and 4 infielders. Like, that doesn't make sense. There's another position in the infield, and we've got 2 guys who are first base only. And really, go ahead and throw McCutchen into the outfield mix. We understand he's a DH, but we're talking 6 possible outfielders on any day.
Yeah. I just look for Palacios to go down.
I look for it to be Palacios as well. I don't know what other move you make. It's not going to be Connor Joe. I think it has to be Palacios. So we've seen a couple reports on Twitter that Cody Bolton was packing bags and saying goodbyes, which means that he's being optioned. He's not a guy that they would move off the 40-man, but when it comes to Quinn Priester, we've got to make a 40-man move. Cody Bolton is not that. He's going to make a spot on the active roster. The easy button here would be Andre Jackson, who never made it to the Pirates here. He was claimed. He's in the minors right now. I'd say he probably gets DFA'd. I don't know any other moves that you would make. Everybody who's on the 60-day is on the 60-day. If Will Crow's in a starting rehab right now, he's on the 60-day injured list. He's going to have to come off of that at some point, and then somebody else has to be moved. I would assume at that point, maybe Ryan Baraki. I don't know. But that's just me assuming, because he's, in my opinion, the lowest guy on the totem pole once Andre Jackson is gone. But, man, it's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Roansy Contreras has been sent down to the complex. Alek Manoah type treatment.
Yeah.
Get him in the lab.
That's wild, man.
I think it's got to be the move, though.
No, I agree with it.
We're going to watch those. Yeah, we're going to watch those box scores all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it out of your head, man. Let's just figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Will you invest into guys that you care about and guys that you think can be really good? And I think this is a Pirates way of investing into them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it shows, he's got to make the extra effort as well. That's got to be reciprocated. And I have no doubt that he will. Like, he's going to go down there and he's going to work his tail off, try to figure this out.
Yeah.
He's got to. We need him to.
Yeah, it's 100%.
The organization needs him to.
Well, I mean, like we talked about Friday, you started naming these pitching options that they have. You can tell, like, you're bit a little bit you're a little snake bit this year.
Mm-hmm.
You've had some injuries. You've had some guys struggling like Contreras and Ortiz. With Brubaker and Velasquez down. And, I mean, even go Harleen Garcia, but just talking about the rotation, we've talked about Mike Burrows being an option to debut this year and not going to get that option because he's gone down with an injury. And you start looking at all this and it's not crazy to think, oh, well, the injuries, they started this season with a lot of depth.
Yeah. And
it's just kind of dwindled away. But then you start paying attention. You're like, oh, but we didn't realize that, like, Solomito could be here in 25. He could be here maybe at the end of 24 if he continues at this rate. Jared Jones could touch this year and come up next year. You just drafted Paul Skeens, who could come up next year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, all right, I think we're okay. But also, hey, Roansy, it's up to you, man, because you could be passed up.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how that goes. Obviously, you hope for the best. He plays on your team, so it's kind of silly not to.
Right.
But at the end of this year, I still think the Pirates are going to have to make a move there. Without getting into that, Osvaldo Bido, I think, was kind of I don't think we understood that this was going to be one of our options. And, pound for pound, like, all in all, really hasn't been that bad. I know Sunday's start was ugly and he's had other moments as well, but, like, he's given us a couple good starts too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's one of those guys that it's just he's got decent stuff. It's just figuring out how to locate it all the time sometimes bites him.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into these guys. Who do you want to go after, man? I think Endy Rodriguez. Let's start with him. I'll cut in line and then I'll let you go next. But Endy Rodriguez, just because everybody kind of already knows.
Yeah.
We've all been calling his name. He wasn't the first one announced. I love the way they did this, by the way, because Quinn Priester was the first one announced. He was there in the dugout Saturday, Sunday. You know what I'm saying? He was on the taxi squad Sunday. I think he was in Pittsburgh on Saturday. Maybe not till Sunday. I can't remember. But either way, like this was like, okay, let's hype this up a little bit, because I think some people maybe they knew about him, but like you look at the numbers and you're thinking like, are we excited here? May 27th, I went to see Indy in Columbus. That was that week they were in Columbus. I went to 3 games, and I went to Priester's start, and I was all excited. He pitched an inning and 2/3, gave up 8 runs, 5 earned, 6 walks in an inning and 2/3. Struck out 3, but probably chasing.
Yeah.
Indy actually ended up tying the game in the 8th, and so he didn't even take the L, but awful start. Grant Cook caught the game. And I say that to say, Endy has caught all but 4 of Priester's 18 starts this season. I think it only makes sense to call him up with Quinn Priester, right?
Right.
And so we'll get into Quinn Priester's numbers overall outside of just that start. But that was just to set up the fact that, like, making Endy Rodriguez come up and catch him for the first game was probably a great move just for Quinn Priester, let alone the Pirates offense. But so he's already caught him. I'm trying to do very simple math in my head, but he's already caught him 14 times. So it's a good, there's a little bit of familiarity there when you're gonna show up and you're gonna be, obviously nervous to make your debut and all those things. Hey, you get to throw to your guy.
Yeah, a little comfort piece.
I didn't get to quite look up the numbers with and without Endy. Obviously, you can see that, I mentioned that Cook caught that game. I also saw a 6-inning scoreless game that he pitched with several strikeouts that Cook caught. So I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, well, he's only good with Endy and nobody else.
Right.
He's had good starts, in some of those other games as well. And he's had bad starts with Endy back there. But we all know Endy started off slow. We know it's been documented that he was pressing and trying to do too much because he wanted to be called up. He wanted to be in the majors. And so he started off slow. And what do we have here? June and July, he's hit 296, 360. That's average on base. In June, 333, 450 in July. On the year, 268, 356 with a 771 OPS. 6 homers. Just turned 23 in May. We're very young. We've got even more young guys showing up. Man, this is a young team. And at 23, 24 is kind of the age, isn't it? You know what I mean? I mean, the starting
seems to be.
Yeah, the starting lineup's going to have a lot of 22, 23, 24 in it.
Yeah.
Because Priester's still 22. Endy's 23. Peguero's still 22. But then you've got Sawinski, who just turned 24. Nick Gonzalez just turned 24. And I mean, that's just, you could also say Castro, Cal Mitchell, Luis Ortiz, 24. Rowanzi's 23. I mean, this is ridiculous. Bay's 23. Marcano's 23 or 24. Did I say 23? O'Neal Cruz is around that age. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I know he's not there.
Right.
Triolo's actually 25, maybe 25. 25. Gotta have it here. Still, Young, dude.
Still very young. Yeah.
Very young. A lot of very young and obviously inexperienced. And this just continues the movement, man. The youth movement in Pittsburgh, where we said there's a lot of guys to come up. Well, this is proof. They're all coming.
Right. Yeah. And it's just like I said at the beginning, like it's been crazy, like the amount almost all at once. Like this is a very short period of time. We're seeing like what, 5
and we
6
got
people.
And we have 3 right now. One day, 3 guys. Now, Peguero made his debut last year. He played 1 game, got a base hit, walked, 1 for 3. The youngest of the group.
Yeah.
You know, he won't be 23 till New Year's Eve. But
It's crazy.
He's coming up. So he's got 1 game, right? He started off in AA this year, moved up to AAA, 260, 333 with a 795 OPS. Started off a little bit slow and then went on a tear. Good shortstop, would you say? Just good. I mean, he's going to make some errors. Got a great arm.
Yeah. It's going to be rangy because he's fast.
Yeah, but there's some... you know how it goes. You know how it goes. Desired. You get on a major league field, it's going to get a little bit better than it was in AA.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You get a little truer hops.
Yeah.
So
the field maintenance crew makes a little more money.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, there's more money to put into it, all that stuff. Sure.
Right.
So all of that, but the whole thing starts with Quinn Priester as far as announcements, right?
Yeah.
And Quinn Priester comes here. He's had some rough starts. Location, part of it, a lot of walks in those rough starts, right? But when he's not, when he has the good starts, that's, they're not. The stuff's all there. Sherrington said on TV, he's got a complete mix of pitches. Yeah, complete arsenal, complete mix of pitches. He's going to throw a lot of different things. It's not like when you brought up Roanzi and it's like he's got the fastball and the slider. We'll work on the changeup, but he's got these 2. They're great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with Luis Ortiz. He's got the 2 pitches. He'll get that third. This is a guy who's already got them all.
Yeah.
They're all working. They're all good. It's just execution and location that you're waiting on. And Sherrington kind of said he made an adjustment recently, that's made it better. And so I thought about that start on May 27th, and I thought, well, what's the June numbers look like? What do July numbers look like? What I found out was the May numbers, even with that start, are actually the best month he had, even with that start. The numbers are good. The ERA at the end of April was 7.78. So when you look at his 4.31, you're thinking like, why are we excited? Well, since April, it's a 3.31. He had a 2.81 in May with that terrible start mixed in. 3.41, and in just 2 starts, a 4.05. He just had 1 start where he gave up 4 runs and then a good start. I think he gave up a couple runs, but it was all in all a good start.
Yeah.
But lowering it down to a 4.31, it's a 3.31 ERA if you just take April away, which I know in Major League Baseball you don't take months away. In the minors, you absolutely do. Sure. You know what I'm saying? You can say, but what has he done recently? Is he ready? And that's what you want to see is progression. And I think it's what you've seen. I mean, obviously May, something clicked. And he had a great May. But just sprinkle in a couple 4-run outings and, still a 3.31 ERA is solid.
Yeah.
So striking guys out, doing kind of everything, limiting walks a little bit. Still kind of the thing that I think is going to be interesting to see is if he can continue to stay in the zone and be effective in the zone, we're going to see a good version of Quinn Priester. And if he starts walking guys, we're not.
Yeah. Which is, and it's just how it goes. You can't be just giving up free bases. It'll come back to bite you every time.
Since that start on May 27th, every start has gone at least 5 innings. And he's had 2 that went 5 innings and then 5 1/3. And those ones he gave up 4 and 6 runs. Other than that, and there was another 5 one where he gave up 4. Other than that, it's 6 innings, no runs, 6.2, 1 run, 6 innings, no runs. 7 innings, or 7 and a third, 2 runs. You know what I'm saying? Like, the starts are good.
Yeah.
When I looked back, in May, 6 innings, no runs, 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, no runs, and then he had the bad start in Columbus. So, like, he was on a string of being lights out.
Yeah.
I was so excited going into that game. I don't know what the heck happened, because he came right back his next start and was good. So, I don't know. Either way, I'm excited about it. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be right now when, I mean, you got 4 starters on your roster right now. You're just dying to get pitching. You've got everybody banged up. Kind of been beating this drum a little bit. Need to be bringing him up. Need to be giving these guys shots. That's why I said Jared Jones is on this list as well, because somebody else is going to struggle. And when he does, if Beto goes down a path of struggle, or Quinn's not getting it done, then Jared Jones, you're up next, man. Like, they've got to figure something out. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. With that said, 3 guys. Now, we got the double debut going, probably the battery, the way that the rumors are going. I mean, it's likely Endy's going to be catching tonight. This is Monday, right? We release on Monday. Mm-hmm. With Priester pitching. Peguero's probably at short. Reunited with his best friend.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine you would just call him up to sit the bench. So, I mean, Tucapita's not exactly been lights out right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would
a little bit at the plate.
Yep. And despite, like what I said, you need that other infielder. I think because Tuke's been struggling, I think that makes it really easy to just say,
yeah, absolutely.
You got short for a while. Let's see what you got. Because we gave Bay a chance and he didn't show up. We gave Castro a chance and he didn't show up. Mm-hmm. We gave Marcano a chance and he started to but didn't show up. And now you could say Nick Gonzalez. And he's been, starting to, but like, where are you at on Nick Gonzalez right now? I don't know. I mean, we know the strikeouts are going to be there. Overall, he hasn't been bad. I think that he's been, he's certainly had moments where it was a lot better. And I think maybe the All-Star break did him an injustice. But, I mean, just see if he bounces back. I mean, these guys are first-round guys. I mean, when you talk about Nick Gonzalez.
And this is how it works. You come up and you get your few games in and you either light it up or you don't. League starts making adjustments. It's a cat and mouse game. And that's why, you talk to veterans and they're like, we're still making adjustments. We've been in the league for 11 years.
Yeah.
So they make their adjustments quicker than the young guys do. It's just how it works.
Right. And the book's out on those guys, so they're making adjustments in game depending on the pitcher a lot of times, where they're not necessarily being adjusted to like a rookie is. Like, they're punching back because they're getting the book on specifically Nick Gonzalez. Oh, you mean if I throw strikes and breaking balls? You know what I mean? Because early on it was like he's still not hitting the breaking ball, but he's working counts and forcing them to throw fastballs, and it was working. And so now you're seeing a little bit of, if I throw fastballs here, I can get him on it because he's seeking fastballs. So they're missing the zone and he's chasing a little bit. At least I haven't really looked that up, but at least from what I can see, I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was interesting, the in-game interview that on Sunday's game, they were talking to Webb, and he said, the book was out, basically. He's reading the scouting report, but at the same time, these guys that are the ones that are supposed to be chasing aren't.
Did you just call Cobb Webb?
Yeah, I did.
Like Cobweb?
Like Cobweb.
Is that what you were doing?
No, they were talking to Alex Cobb, right?
Yeah, but you said Webb.
I was thinking Logan Webb. Isn't he a Giants pitcher too?
I don't know. I just thought maybe you were thinking
I thought he was their stud. No, I wasn't thinking Cobweb. Although that's what my brain feels like right now.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Logan Webb, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It threw me off because when you said that, I was like, well, now I don't even know. I got you. Hey, by the way, is Alex Cobb, when did he start throwing 96?
I don't know.
I thought he was just like, I'm going to throw a changeup 75% of the time. Anyway, move on.
Anyway, yeah, but it's just like, it's always a game of adjustments. These, hopefully you have your coaches that can help you do that. But, that's one of the things that we've talked about previously.
Yeah. Yeah. So which one of these three are you most excited about?
That's tough. That's tough for me. A little bit.
The easy button's Endy, right?
Yes, because I don't want to get too excited about Liover Peguero, because Cruz is coming back. How long is Peguero actually going to get to stay in the starting lineup because of that?
Yeah.
Unless he slides to second if Gonzalez isn't getting it done. But Endy's here. Endy's going to stay.
Mm-hmm. You would hope,
so it's more likely for me to be excited for that, to see what he's going to bring to the table and get this offense jump started.
But not the 2019 first round pick, Quinn Priester.
No, I am super excited about him as well. We need another pitcher. We need him to step up.
I wasn't implying that you weren't excited. I just meant
right.
So Endy's really it is the easy button for a reason, huh?
Yeah.
The offense is the problem. Obviously getting arms is a problem too, but the offense is the problem right now. And catching has been an offensive problem all season.
Yeah.
Shortstop makes sense that it's a problem because our shortstop's injured.
Yeah.
Our catchers have not been injured.
Right.
This is just the way it is. Kind of hoping for it. No, I'm just kidding. I never hope for an injury.
No.
But anyway, yeah, I think for me, the easy button is Endy for a reason. The catching position offensively has been well complained about.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very much, very loudly complained about. And so it certainly, he's been the guy that we've known, the top prospect all year. I know Termar number one on the pipeline, but we know that Termar's a long ways off. So Endy was the next guy. And really it was surprising. Well, actually Henry Davis was number two, but the fact that he started in AAA and Davis in AA kind of made you think, we said it on here. Well, Endy's first.
Yeah.
Then they'll let Henry catch for a while, and then Henry will come. And it was a complete flip-flop because of the seasons that they've had.
Right.
Where it was we got to get Davis's bat up here. And then now, Endy might be some weeks late if you want to get nitpicky.
Right.
But either way, it's happening now. I think it's cool that it's happening with Priester.
Yeah.
I think that's
definitely
a really cool thing. You want to sell tickets on a Monday night? That's probably a good way to do it. If I didn't have plans, I might have turned around and drove right back on Monday for something like that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for MLB debuts, so it's kind of my thing.
Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing.
No. So yeah, Endy will be the big thing for me, and then Priester. And you're right. Like I said, Peguero's not a debut, but he's only played one game.
Right.
So this is the same, almost essentially. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got a first hit out of the way. You know what I mean? So even those sort of things, it's we're not even waiting for that. Mm-hmm. But we get to see him extended. And when he got called up, it was oh crap, we need somebody right now. You're right there. Get here. And then it was a Marcano COVID thing.
Yeah.
And so, now it's a Marcano can't hit thing.
Yeah, it's either a leg thing
or it's a COVID thing. Redo Major League for that. Could you imagine? All right, so let's kind of get through here this a little bit. I'm excited. Endy Rodriguez, Quinn Priester debuts as a battery. I wonder how many times that's happened. Didn't look it up. That'd be interesting to know. And Liover Peguero as well, probably be playing at shortstop. It's a very young offense. You'd like to say that the offense is going to start clicking because we've got 2 new guys for this lineup in positions that have been struggling. I'm just not sure it's that easy. You got a lot of young guys. This team's going to continue to struggle a little bit. They'll get a little fire here and there. I still think they've got a run or two in them. Not like a playoff run this year.
Right.
Let's not, you know what I mean? But I think they've got
like an April run.
Yeah, they've got some good baseball to play. Yeah. Cruz comes back at some point. What'd we say? Mid-August, probably the earliest. Maybe looking at like even just like a last month of the season, September, kind of a thing. I have a feeling if this team's not doing well, I don't know if they, well, we'll talk about that later. If they rush him or get him back, or if they get him back, or if they slow it down and take their time.
Just take their time.
I don't know. But that's probably a conversation for another day. We've got a series here that they're going to be here for against the Cleveland Guardians. And Guardians a little down on it right now, 45-48. We talked about them coming back and getting at the top of the division, getting back to 500, putting them at the top of the division. And then they lost 4 straight games. And the Twins swept the A's, and they were swept by the Rangers. So they're now a couple games back, 2.5 games back in the division, just like that. And 3 games under 500. And you could sit and look at that and say, well, they're about like us. Obviously better record, but yeah, they're a little more proven. And then you look at the starters and you're like, well, we don't have to run into Bieber because he's kind of banged up a little bit. They've got some other injuries in their pitching, but this is a pitching factory. Right. So when you've got Logan Allen and Aaron Savali coming, like that's a couple good pitchers too. And then you got Xavier Curry, who I'm like, I don't know him. I don't have to know him. Cleveland produces pitching. So like if this offense is going to do anything against Cleveland, they're going to have to earn it because that team always pitches. What they don't do very well is hit. And they, I still think that they've got talent. They're a little bit like the Pirates in that way. They're very young, and they've got guys who performed last year that are having down years. They'll bounce back, I'm sure, but for right now, maybe a little struggle. Maybe we're in the same position as they are as far as in the season. You just coming off a sweep. You're coming out of the All-Star break hoping for better things, and you get swept. So both teams are going to have a little to fight for right here.
Sure.
I don't know, man. Quinn Priester, Endy Rodriguez, Liover Peguero, let's take that first game.
Right.
Get a little magic there. You got home. You're at home. Let's, and then set yourself up to take one of the other two. I would assume Keller and Hill are pitching. You know how we always talk about Keller starts? You got to win those ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to score runs, man. This offense has got to figure out how to score runs. No matter who's on the field, no matter who's in the lineup, you got to score runs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, no other way to put it, man. I was going to try to think of something else to say for that. There's nothing.
Got a lot of friends who are Guardians fans. Shout out to you guys if you're ever listening to this. I know a few of them do. Mm-hmm. Just to check it out every once in a while and see what's going on. Good luck to those guys. Close your ears for a second while I talk to Pirates fans. Let's sweep those stinking Guardians. They're from Cleveland. You know what I mean? Whatever. But hopefully a little friendly rivalry. We get to just say gotcha at the end of this series to one or the other. But either way, both teams are in need of a little pickup in this series. So, obviously. And the Guardians are in a position where, that division is, if you are 500, you might win it.
Right.
So they certainly have a good shot of their division still. They're far from out of this thing.
It's crazy. the Central in both leagues is just not
so
that great.
bad. But I mean, there's just it's a baseball problem. We know this.
Yeah,
we don't have to go down that path. All right, man. Priester, Rodriguez, Peguero, Q, Andy, Peggy, whatever you want to call them. Get the nicknames.
Oh, dang it,
early.
Peggy.
Dang it, Bobby.
Kudos to you, Ben, for calling these guys up. By the way, I tweeted on Saturday, as soon as that game ended, on Saturday, I said, we already knew about Priester. I said, maybe Andy will catch Quinn on Monday. And of course, I got some talk back on it. John, if you're listening, you know, he said, I got a better chance, which has been funny. We had a little back and forth today. Like, they picked him over you, man. But somehow I've even had some guys tell me today that monkeys are going to fly out of Ben Sherrington's. I'm like, check the Pirates Twitter for the monkeys because he's already been announced. Like, what are we doing? So I don't know. It's kind of fun though. I like to throw something out there and then have it come true.
Yeah.
You got any closing notes? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, let's Young Bucks. You know, get on it.
Yeah, it's time to start seeing it, right?
See if we can right the ship with the Young Bucks. Get
on a run right here. Let it excite you.
Have
Use this
fun.
as fuel. It's good. I will say one more thing. Pirates missed out. Sean Casey was just hired as the Yankees hitting coach.
Dang it.
Why didn't we do that?
Right.
You wouldn't have to go for it. Right there, man.
Right. He's
Right there.
Mayor.
Let's go Bucs.
Let's go Bucs.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucs.